This video is going to show you how to cook a steak. Step 1. Preheat the oven at 167.5 degrees. Step 2. Steak in. Cooker on. Steak in. Right? Step 3. You're going to reverse sear that steak so that you get that perfect medium rare. We don't want no well done steaks in this house. If you eat steak that's well done, you shouldn't be eating steak. Am I right? Nah, man. Imagine if I did do a full commentary video of a solo GM or even a solo dungeon or maybe an exotic mission that's brand new and I talked about everything other than the GM. Oh, wait. That's literally every other YouTuber, isn't it, that do such things? But no, I'm not going to do that for this video. But one time I will, when I'm up to current events with a new dungeon or something, I'm just going to fuck with people just once with an absolute daft commentary on it. Because I think I'm owed that at the very least one time to do it. And people will be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's alright, because it'll be fun. So, it's obviously the 10-year anniversary of the Destiny franchise. So, isn't it funny that Devil's Lair is scheduled in for the 10-year mark? That's planned. Because I know that there's 9 GMs, but somebody has tailored this so that Devil's Lair appears for the 10-year event. Well, technically it appeared that you reset after, because 9th of September was a Monday. But no, I think that's been tailored, because Devil's Lair was the first ever strike that you played in Destiny 1. I think it was the first ever Nightfall as well. So, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but Devil's Lair has evolved a lot, which I can talk about a few points about it and some personal experiences. But the loadout that I'm using, which you saw at the start of the video, is Low Monarch, a kinetic sniper supremacy with kinetic tremors, yeah, and a arc LMG, right? So the loadout's rather simple, but I am demonstrating to you that there's kind of a Arc Titan build this season going on, but it's not getting much use because Prismatic's in the game and people are confused on what to run on Titan. Well, I think on other classes as well, but I think it's more apparent on Titan. But I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that this class, what I'm using here, is by any means better than a Prismatic Titan on the right build. But I'm just saying, look, if you want to just play a full class, for Devil's Lair, Arc always goes hard in this GM. It always does, because the amount of Arc shields, the amount of ad density there is, and Pulse Nade's exceptionally good on Overlord Champions. So, with this start section, we want to get this barrier killed before the barrier loops round to the enemies. To stop the barrier from looping to the enemies, don't kill the 2 initial acolytes that spawn with that barrier, because he loses interest with you and goes to the Fallen. You don't want that barrier to do that. If he does do that, it's no big deal. You'll take him later. You'll take him later. But we're going to use a super here, and yes, I'm not using T-Crash. And you're going to say, what the hell, man? You're meant to be a good Titan. Why are you using Fist of Havocs? Well, because a Roman super is useful when we're up against multiple priority targets, when we want to also pick up ammo. You're going to reply back to me and say, well, you should just have a shoot to loot build on. Well, we don't need to. We're on Arc Titan for the neutral game. It's not for the super, believe me. Although Fist of Havoc has been getting some buffs of late. But it's still not strong enough to contend it as a good super. Which it used to be a contender. It used to be the meta in 2017. Destiny 2. 2017 Striker Titan was immensely strong. Pulse Nades were immensely strong. Now, Pulse Nades are immensely strong now, but they maybe weren't as strong as what they were at launch of D2. But, yeah, we're on this because we have no use for T-Crash. A T-Crash without Fallen Star, in my opinion, is worse than just a Fist of Havoc. What makes T-Crash is the exotic chestplate Fallen Star, but we're not using that. We're using Heart of Inmost Light with the artifact mod Shield Crush. So when you're amplified, you get increased grenade energy. We've also got things on our build to back all that stuff up. So Heart of Inmost light buffs. We've got Bomber on. We've got Grenade Kickstart. So we're getting plenty of grenades. And the Ionic Traces, when you stun like high priority targets, you get lots of Ionic Traces, therefore lots of pulse nades. You'll often see me double pulse a Overload. So I found this to be a fun setup in Devil's Lair. Like I say, I know that there's other better setups, and I know that there is, but it's no big deal to me because it's Devil's Lair. So that's a good position there for the Overload to sort of strafe around that wall. We're now going to take care of these mines, get a pulse nade on these adds. That's saved for that, by the way. And then we're going to kill the adds behind us. Because I know these Dreg shotguns come out, 3 of them. So I want to melt them down instantly so that they don't hide. Because once they go past you, they like to hide and use cover. We can't be bothered with that. We'll get a good pulse nade down here. I like to get one round there so it kills as many shanks as I can within one nade. Not that it matters because we've got La Monarch. For every 5 red bars, you get health regen. For any orange, yellow bar, you get instant health regen because it's unrelenting. That's on La Monarch. Which obviously it's got built-in Overload as well. So we're going to try to optimize the Fallen rather than the Hive on this first wave. So we'll get a pulse nade at the door that you just saw and then a super. Now this super is generally better than what it would be. The reason why it was less effective is because a mine slowed me down, so I couldn't get that slam off good enough, because that's where the arc shielded major spawn from, that middle door. And if I had been a little bit better with my super, I would have killed them all. But that's fine. So I like to work from here on this phase. On this class at least. Depending on what... if I was on like a Warlock Prismatic, I wouldn't work from here. I would work from the back of the room. Which I generally do. But on this little bit here, I think it's useful to kill a lot of the Fallen. Because what you need to realise is the trigger for the next barrier champ is the Hive, not the Fallen. So you could technically kill every single Fallen enemy in this room, leave all Hive up, and the champ wouldn't spawn. The champ won't spawn until a portion or percentage amount of Hive is killed. Mainly, it's at least 2 wizards minimum. If 1 wizard's still left up and all other Hive are dead, the champ will spawn. The key is to not be out of position for it, though, if you're going to copy this. Right, so I'm going to move to the back of the room because that's where the actual Hive barrier champs spawn. So we're going to use our melee just to get past. And then we're going to do some damage. Because if I'd killed that wizard there, that would start the spawn. Well, it will, but there might be another Hive enemy alive. So once this wizard's dead, because sometimes the barrier will spawn if there's 1 wizard left. That is a thing. So we want to get a pulse nade on this spawn, and then we're going to snipe. The kinetic tremors is going to instantly melt the shield. Kinetic tremors procs off 2 sniper shots with this particular sniper. So it's melting the shield, and then we swap to LMG. We could have continued with the snipe. I have options, so I could just melt down with the supremacy and melt the barrier. We want to get that barrier in 1 stun. We don't want to have to wait for another stun, of course. Right, but now that we're back here, we've actually spawned in the next wave of shanks, which when they are killed, the second wave's going to start, which, there we go, a champion has appeared. So we want to get behind this tanker. This is the best place to stand, in my opinion, if you've got an AoE build from range, like Prismatic Warlock with a turret. Anything like that, or if you're using Dragon's Breath, you can got a lot of chain. Like, look at the chain damage we're doing right here, because what that's doing is it's funneling the overloads and all the enemies into that little area, and all your overload and jolting, when you're jolting the champ, it's spreading all the area of effect damage to all the other adds, so you're doing ad clear and champ killing at once. Trust me, this is the best place to stand for this particular wave. Don't stand at the back of the room, because the adds aren't as grouped up as what they would be there. I know you're going to say, well, I'm going to heal if I'm not on a Warlock. Just good position and make sure that you keep getting your Ionic Traces from your pulse grenades, and you're going to have plenty of pulses, because I know that you got the Monarch on, But to speed up a champ kill is to jolt them with the pulse nade. The pulse nade just speeds it up so much more. And then one thing you'll notice is I'm not using much ammo via sniper or LMG in this room. So you have liberty to use more ammo than what I did, if you wish, because you can see that this room's, you're capable of spamming much more ammo, you can see in the run. Because we've got Le Monarch on, we're getting an increased chance at heavy, etc. Because of how exotic primaries work. We'll get a jolt here because we're going to get our nade back anyways. Try to take advantage of your build. You may as well. Spam abilities when possible. I do often promote a conservative playstyle, but sometimes, you know, if you're playing too conservative, your build ends up being not very useful because you're not using enough abilities, and therefore you should have went on something else instead. Because we're going to get our nade back for this champ. I'm just biding my time for that Dreg, because that Dreg was being annoying. So we'll control the overload. We'll go for this orb. That's really what I was wanting, to be honest. We'll get a stun on the overload. He was in a bad position, but that's fine. Remember, for every stun with a pulse grenade, if you successfully jolt a champ, that's 2 stuns. You'll get a stun, and then in a few seconds, when you're doing consecutive damage, you will stun the champ again, but not 3. But you have Le Monarch on, of course, assuming that you've copied this. But I'm not saying it as well that Le Monarch's best in slot, but I think it's literally one of the best weapons for Devil's Lair. Either this or, well, Dragon's Breath's still better, especially if you do an Ignition build, because its Solar Surge is weak. But if you're not doing Dragon's Breath, I think Le Monarch's next best thing for casual players, because you've got that ranged damage that you want for this section. It makes the outside section so much more easier if you've got a bow on. Also as well, try and spawn kill as many adds as you can before you get to this barrier champ. So get a pulse nade down and try and do as much jolt as possible, because the champ will be dazed as they spawn, and then when they start to see you and stuff, they'll start to tether all the enemies. But you can kill majority of the enemies if you're quick enough with the jolt. So what I'm doing here is just prepping this first barrier champ here. He keeps being awkward though, to be honest. But we're going to start with the snipe now. That's it. We get our kinetic tremors. We'll pulse nade. I think the pulse nade misses. It does. That's unfortunate. Slightly misses. So we'll get our next one. Again, we only need 2 shots. Actually, 1 shot if we've got Sniper's Meditation to break the shield. That's actually nice. So make sure you've got Sniper's Meditation on if you're using a sniper at all. It's just that good that you need to use it. So now we can start working this outside section, because you can make this as hard as you want or easy. Right? Now, there's I'm going to be doing some ad manipulation here, and I'm going to be clearing particular types of enemy types before we spawn in other enemy types. Because there's actually 3 or 4 different ways you can do this outside section. You can go all guns blazing right at the back of the map. You know, fire some Dragon's Breath shots off at the tank and sort of do ad clear like that and do it a bit more risky, which I'm not saying is not possible by any means, it is. But you can also do it like this if you're not comfortable with getting up close and personal in this outside section, because it's easy to die if you don't know what you're doing. So once we cleared out the adds to our left, which there is a sniper on left, we want to start baiting this overload champ. Now the overload champ, there's an RNG factor on where he is, but this champ's already spawned in. If I was to pass the building in front of me, this would spawn in 2 bricks and the tank. We don't want to do that yet. It wouldn't spawn in any more overloads, but it would spawn in, like I say, the 2 bricks. And that will make it a little bit more chaotic for you. To sort of cheat at the brig phase is to prep the overload before then, which is what we're going to do. This particular overload. He's just taken ages to come, but I know that he's going to come around that corner in a minute. I'm trying to bait him. So there he is. So I'm trying to get his attention. Again, if you go anywhere near that building, right, it's roughly, it's not quite in front of the building, but slightly behind, you'll end up spawning in the brigs. If you do that, no problem. You just skip to where I'm at the brig phase and just start killing the brigs from there. But yeah, if you've got the Monarch on, you may as well do this bit. It's just less busy work to do later on. So we'll stun the Overlord here. Now the problem with this is, right, what you need to understand is, right, how big is an Overlord? 6 foot? Let's guess, 6 foot. Well, when they're stunned, they're 2 foot 2. Why? Because they lower their head. Now, did you notice when I was on that hill, I could not get crit? That's a problem. When the Overlord's stunned, if I can't get the crit, there's a chance of me not stunning Overlord and him porting round the corner if we miss our Overlord shots. So I jump back up, yeah, to make sure I definitely get the Overlord and guarantee the kill. Because an Overlord will become more aggressive once you miss a stun. That, to be honest with you, they're nerfed when you use Le Monarch because it's got the best Overlord stun in the game, apart from maybe Divinity, yeah. But it nerfs them even more because the poison damage is Overlord. It makes them port less. In actual fact, it nerfs the port entirely once you get a good stun on an Overlord and you do the strafe bow. That's it. They're done for. So I'm wanting to do my super, which, by the way, Fist Fabric isn't that bad on Briggs because I used it on the run previous to this. But the Brig is too far away. Not because I will be in danger, which I will be in slight danger, but not much. The problem is the red box. Alright, so you'll see a red box. You can't see it yet. I'll point it out later, but there's a point of reference. If you pass the red box, call it a British telephone red box if you want. You can call it what you want. But once there it is, left. Once you pass that telephone box, you will get a extra wave of ads, Arc Captain, and Overlord Champ, which is independent from all other enemy spawns. I repeat, that spawn is independent from any other spawn and is not based on ad kill. It's based on how far you go and push up the map. That is it. So, we don't want the Overlord yet. Why? Why do you need him? What we want is the Brig killed. We're going to whip out the machine gun. It's got target lock on it, which actually makes short work of them. Target lock, I don't think, works on a Brig until you knock their first player off, I think. I'll have to go and watch the footage back. But, yeah, it just makes sense. Do Le Monarch, get the first player off, and then melt with the machine gun. This allows you to one-cycle the Brig at the end. It means you don't have to backtrack and wait for their 1 KO blast, which, by the way, will 1 KO you if you're in the center of a Brig attack. Now we're going to sit next to this dumpster, and we're just got whatever name you want it. I don't know what you want to call it. Compartment. I don't know, locker. What's that? Storage Wars program. Whatever that is, that's what we're standing next to, and we're just clearing out these snipers. Right. So your next goal is, like I said, this is more of a solo GM for dummies. I'm not saying you're dumb, but you know people do those YouTube titles. You know that they do that. Rick Hackers. You know, so this is more of a like step by step, right? How can you do this slowly with the least path of resistance? Well, here you go. Here it is, right? Because now the barrier has been isolated from all enemies. All snipers are dead. The only thing that's alive right now is the Brig. But because the Brig is so far away from us, we can out-dodge him pretty much. We're looking for our good opportunity to get a stun on this barrier and melt with the LMG and the machine gun, right? That then makes this outside area so much easier, because if you push up and start doing damage to the tank, you're going to spawn in a skiff. So the next spawn, right, that we need to think about is the skiff spawn. I think there's 2 or 3 of them, right? They are dictated by the amount of damage that you do to the tank. Generally speaking, when you break a leg on the tank or so much damage dealt to the tank, you get a skiff to spawn. I want to stand on this left hand side for it because I can spawn kill him. There we go. Look. There we go. So the skiff's spawning in. I saw it at the top of the camera there. Right? The skiff's coming in. I'm doing some damage to the Brig. Here's the skiff. Let's get behind the storage walls container, whatever you want to damn call it. Pulsing a grenade in mid. And then we're just going to try and deal some damage to all these enemies. They're jolted. That's the beauty of it. An Overlord has spawned, yeah, which we're going to deal with him when it's a good opportunity to do that, but there's some odd add to our left, and there's some Vandals. That's annoying us. The champ is stunned, but are you noticing what the combatant difficulty is with that? The difficulty is that we would have to do a lot of sustained damage to that Overlord to take him from that angle, that particular angle. Well, instead of doing that, we'll take the brig from under the bridge, like this, right? Again, I wanted to use my super on this brig, but the brig's too far back. We could bait him to where I am, but that takes time, and I can't be bothered with that. So we'll just break off his faceplate with the Monarch and melt with the machine gun, and then we're dealt with it. So I do highly recommend a machine gun in this, especially an Arc LMG, just because it's just so useful at melting captains down in fast scenarios. And there's times when you do want to melt down Arc captains quickly, but not only that, it's just a good utility weapon in this against Overlord champs when they're jolted, and just for general ad clear. And I highly recommend snipers right now because of snipers meditation, especially because there's tanks and stuff, and there's no barriers. How many barrier champs is there in this? 2, 3, most of it's Overlords, so it's not a problem. So basically you can put on a DPS weapon like this sniper and use it to your benefit against a tank. So remember, the crit spot on a tank is higher when the core is exposed. So I've actually lost some damage there, but the skiff pushed me, right? But it doesn't matter. I had ammo from before, which I remembered about, yeah? So when I had exhausted some of my ammo, I went back for that. Because the skiff's now gone. Because the skiff can kill you if it hits you enough. Make sure you get your crits, and you will kill the tank no problem, easy. The kinetic tremors also does assistive damage to the tank's legs. That's why I'm using this sniper. Yeah, you know, you could see people doing a whisper run. You could see people doing, let's think, Cloud Strike run. You know, because Cloud Strike's quite good. In my personal opinion, Darcy would do really well in this. That pulse nade was so unlucky, by the way. If it hadn't got caught on that debris, it would have hit the Overlord. So that's unlucky, that. Who the hell put that damn debris like that? What is that for? Man. But look, this Overlord earlier that was giving us problems isn't giving us problems anymore. Because we can take him from here. We'll try and kill this Arc Captain, but he is being a bit of a nuisance. And now, right, this outside area, we're 22 minutes. And by the way, we took the slow way. With minimal effort. We could have spawned in all waves at once. Yeah, we could have done that sort of stuff. The problem is, you end up slowing the run down if you're on a build like this, because this build relies on ranged damage. It's not like a Prismatic Titan where you pop a Transcendence and then you start going to town with the melee. It's not like that. This is more of a build that we would use in the old GMs. That's why Striker Titan used to be so good, especially with Storm Grenades. We're going to use our super here because there's nothing I need a super for anytime soon, and it's good to take out this Arc Captain. The Overlord is now spawned because we went past the telephone box, that red box right there. So now we can deal with this Overlord, which I know that this Overlord this is a good spot to take him. We've got loads of ammo on the floor, so I've been extremely conservative with my ammo, right? Extremely conservative. So, you know, I think a player of less skill than me could probably still spam more ammo than what I did and get the success solo win. As long as you've watched this video in advance, say you didn't know Devil's Lair and you didn't know exactly about the spawns, yeah, then if you've watched this and then you go and do the run, you'll find it's easier. That's a big thing, by the way. I'm going to tell you this. These videos of mine, the videos I've been making for years, especially the solo GM ones, don't start doing your solo GM run until you've watched the video. Don't start watching my video and do a solo GM at the same time, which I know that's what some of you are doing. Don't do it like that. The way that this is designed is that you get all the information, you store it, then you go and do your run with no aid from anybody, and you get some gain. Whether it be further in the Grandmaster, than what you normally would have got without my help. That's how you're meant to watch these. That's how it was designed. That's how I've designed them. So that you watch it, then you go and do the run. But watch it in its entirety if you didn't know exactly what you needed to do. And this applies to not just Devil's Lair, because I know Devil's Lair is well known, but maybe the more obtuse Grandmasters. So on this bit, you want to stun the first Overlord as soon as possible to get him jolted, because that's gonna clear out all the dregs. So you don't need to clear dregs, because the jolt will do it for you. Yeah. And we can get plenty of pulse nades that way. Try and get another pulse nade back though, right? Because you want one for DPS. It'll just make DPS a little bit better. And this is what I recommend, because assuming that you've got a sniper on, it doesn't exactly have to be supremacy, but I recommend it. Get a jolt up here. This is where we're doing DPS. We're going to stand by this red box, right? And then we're just going to spam our sniper, because it auto loads, of course, right? Because of its per combination, right? That will then do your first phase of damage. Job done. That's it, right? It's good way of DPS, and the ads do spawn, but it's not as dangerous as it looks as long as you do it exactly as is. If you waited around for 5 seconds, even 10 seconds, you would screw it up. You would then need to run down the stairs, maybe even pop super to survive. But because we're doing it so quick, before the ads can get to us, we've done our DPS. And if you do end up getting naded and hit hard, pop a super. That's what it's there for. And that's another thing I'm saying. Thunder Crash is not a good plan B option. You ever think you one shot, you pop a Thunder Crash? This is without Curious. This is without the Curious of the Fallen, whatever it's called, because you get an overshield with that. Whereas we'd have Inmost Light, there's no benefit really to Thunder Crash other than the empowered ability thing. But you're gonna die after the T crash because you don't have super resistance. With Fist of Havoc, you can overextend yourself, overcommit to DPS, then pop a super. You can get more DPS out technically. See, when people said in the past about Roman supers versus one-shot supers, you should never watch anybody's video when they mention Roman super versus one-shot supers, single-use supers. If anybody ever makes a video like that, you unsubscribe to them and never watch them again, because it is the stupidest question that anyone should ever ask. Flat out, the stupidest, silliest question, and I don't need to explain why that is. I think you should just know why that is, right? It's obvious, because there's no name behind a Roman super. Like if it said to you on the perk description, oh, when you pop a super you get super armor resistance that does stack with tier 10 resilience. Imagine if you read that, then you'd be like, oh man, I'm rocking more Roman supers, I'm going to use that more. But because that description is not in the game, people don't really think or know about it. Roman supers have widely been used in GMs for numerous years as a plan B backup option to survive. And to this day, it's still an effective thing. Again, if I was using Curious Star, obviously I would go on T-Crash, because there'll be a benefit there. But I'm on this class for its neutral game, to be clear, for its neutral game, not its super. We're on it for pulse nades. That's what we're on it for. For Heart of Inmost Light, pulse nades. With the Shield Crush build. We haven't got Shock and Awe on because we can't equip Shock and Awe. Before you mention that, we can't equip it. You should know why we can't equip it. The reason being is because Sniper Meditation is in the final column, and I would rather have Shield Crush over Shock and Awe. It would be nice if I could run Shock and Awe, but I'm using a sniper. So say I wasn't using a sniper, I would have put Shock and Awe on. Do you get it? You can only have 2 perks in the final column. Only 2. So we're now just doing ad clear, right? Because it's actually beneficial to do a lot of ad clear on phase 2, because you're not going to DPS Sepics in one go. Not on this setup, as in get to phase 3 right away, because it ports too much, right? But you're going to bide your time. In the meantime, you're going to cleared out a lot of the wave of enemies, because what you need to understand with Sepics, there's a spawn for every 10-15% at least. And all those spawns are backing up. So when you get to phase 3, when there's 2 overloads, the overloads are more aggroed. Why? Because there's that amount of ads out there, you end up dying because of it. To save you dying on the overload phase is to prep phase 2. Simple as that. Take phase 2 slower. It means there's barely any ads out there. You've prepped on phase 2, making phase 3 harder. Because if you're going to die on the boss, I know it's only Devil's Lair, but you can still die. If you're going to die, it will be on phase 3. It'll be this phase here, because there's a lot of tracer bullets. There's a lot of dregs and vandals up that do the tracer bullets. In accordance with the overload damage that they do to you with a lot of wolf shotguns, that's where you're going to get your deaths. And the amount of nades at this door. Now look at the amount of speed that we're gaining. I know that this run's slow, but I actually saved the time on this run by using the machine gun, because it melts down the servitors so quick with target lock. It's just so good. It was just so good. This machine gun played perfectly to exactly how I wanted it to play. Back in the day, I used to use 7 Sarah Saw, which played Devil's Lair GM perfect. These days, ARC LMGs, you're probably going to use Thunderlord, but we've got them on Archon, so I was like, what ARC LMGs have I got? Well, this one's good because it's got target lock, and I'm a massive fan of target lock LMGs. I know people aren't, but I'm not people, am I? I'm a person with a unique opinion. And target lock LMGs almost certainly have a place in GMs. Why? Because I use them to solo stuff with, and have done ever since Retrofit Escapade came out. Again, there's a deep reasoning behind that. We can go into the deep reasonings, but I'm in the middle of the solo GM, so I'm not going to. That was a bad miss there on the pulse nade. That's the worst player of the GM. The final overload's going to give you problems, like this. He always has done, this overload. So yeah, we're just going to deal with him as we do. I just want to mention this. So I had a look at one of my first solo GM clears for Devil's Lair. My clear on one of my first, I don't know what my first time clear, but one of my clears was on, I think it was on a solo subclass. And I was using Anarchy, by the way, the meta. It was 1 hour 12 minutes 4 years ago. Right? Nowadays, the average clear on a Devil's Lair GM is 20 to 30 minute range. Some of them are quicker, depending on what they're doing. Some people have got sub 10 minutes and all that stuff. But I'm saying the average nowadays is between 20 to 30 minutes. Some runs are even longer, like this one you see. Back in the day, just to get a clear, I had to upload the video in 2 parts because I didn't have the software to render a 60-minute video. And my clear was 1 hour and 10 minutes. So GMs back then, the old GMs, forced me to get a extra additional editing software to even upload them on YouTube. Nowadays, the editing software I've got for solo GMs, which is exclusively for solo GMs, for videos above an hour, I barely use it. Why? Because no solo GMs are taking over an hour. None of them. Basically none of them. It's crazy, apart from maybe Luminality or whatever you call it. That one would. Probably for me. But that's just showing you. I had to literally buy software to upload solo GMs back in the day because they were that hard. We're now soloing GMs so quick now that it doesn't even matter. So if you ever wanted to know about power creep, there you go. I had to buy a software for the old GMs. Nowadays, I don't need such software because I can upload it within the 60-minute time that PlayStation gives us. That was a solo Grandmaster for this. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.